Hey, what's up, contractors? Thank you for coming to the Home Show Maximizer webinar. I'm Kevin Sterling, Director of General Contractor Growth for GC Sherpa, and today we are going to be learning how to maximize your effectiveness at home shows. So let me fire up our deck and we will get started. Many of you may be thinking about a home show or have already gone to a home show. Maybe you had a great time, maybe you thought it was a waste of time. But we're here to talk about the before, during, and after that can really help you maximize your investment because they are not cheap and you do have options about where you spend your money. So before the show, awesome to have a goal, to have a KPI. That's a key performance indicator. If you're not familiar with that term, choose your event wisely. Make sure your booth design rocks it and is ready to roll, how you're going to staff it, what offers you're going to make, how you're going to market it, and then retargeting. And if you don't know what that is, we're going to talk about it also. During the show, your job is to create conversations, to psychologically engage with your prospects, and to capture leads. After the show, follow up. You're going to look at your ROI analysis. You're going to talk about future improvements, and you're going to make sure that you are staying on top of technology trends. So if you're not familiar with our content, again, I said I'm Kevin Sterling. I run GC Sherpa. We are a digital marketing agency specifically for general contractors, which that primarily means remodelers. We do work with some commercial clients who are trying to grow brand, manage reputation, otherwise might be trying to get over hiring hurdles also. So you can read through this. I don't need to repeat it. We also have skin in the game. We love participating in our local associations, both at a local level and a state level, and sometimes national level. And we value the industry. And whether we are doing this role as digital marketers, we'd probably be working for a remodeler directly or a supplier or something like that. We love the construction industry. We've worked with some different kinds of clients. So these are sort of larger commercial clients and construction managers, architecture companies, and then local companies, sort of highlighting here. So all of that is to say that we have a lot of versatility in terms of who we've worked with over the years. And that is, sort of some of the initial experiences that made us excited to work with general contractors and to help them grow their business because we were able to sort of see different sides of the market over time. So before the home show, it's all about preparation, positioning, booth strategy, pre-positioning your audience, and marketing before the event even begins. And you may say, like, well, how does that even work? So we're here to talk about it. So most of the time you might come into this thinking like, well, if I show up, I paid for a booth, I am entitled to leads. And that can make you, at the end of it, say, hey, this was a huge waste of time. Home shows suck. My market sucks. Economy sucks. President sucks. Whoever. Like, you go into the blame game because you weren't prepared for the test. So from a hobby standpoint, I train hunting dogs for fun. I don't know what is wrong with me that I decided to get into that. But anyway, I train hunting dogs. And what I see year after year, when people show up to a test and they are not ready for the test, the nerves start playing. And then, as a friend of mine says, as the book of excuses comes out, and it becomes every single thing except that you weren't prepared for the test. So part of the point of this training is that we want you to be prepared for the test, and the test is the home show. So homeowners there are going to walk past dozens or hundreds of vendors in a single day. It could be very overwhelming. They might not be able to differentiate one from the other. They might feel like people are too pushy. They might not want to engage. And so, you have to stand out from the crowd, and that has to be visual and ephemeral in the way of how you make them feel. So you're trying to stop them. You're trying to start conversations with them. This is basic sales, know, like, trust. Capture their information and book a consultation, which might be a phone call, might be a video call, might be an on-site visit if you were, willing to do that. So a couple of things here. I hope you appreciate that. Just to, squint your eyes and look at these two images and see which one looks more interesting, just at that basic level. And that's an old design trick. When I used to do pure graphic design as my work, is if we would squint and sort of like what pops, and that sort of like limiting your vision and seeing a pop, that is a good indicator of like that's what people are going to see. It's like basically filtering out your subconscious. And so you can see like this is bare minimum. And when I go to trade shows, which I have gone to a lot of trade shows over the years, whenever I go to a booth and people are just sitting, I'm like, these people, and trust me, like I've gone to them where the people are literally on their phone sitting there. And I always ask, like, one, if you own the company, why did you pay to be here if this is how you're going to present yourself? And number two, if you don't own the company, does your boss know that this is how you're conducting business for the company? So anyway, this doesn't even have a place to sit, which trade-off, maybe you say like, well, we want to have an opportunity for a scheduler to sit and talk to the homeowners or a closer or whatever. You can put in a little high top. Maybe it's sort of like behind some of these signs out front, a place to sit, but that place to sit is only for those one-on-one consultations. But what to get from this is an old mentor of mine who is a retired Army Ranger. He would always tell me when we would hunt and fish together, he would say, the last thing you ever want to be is underpowered. Like you don't want to go through the effort of like paying the home show, maybe traveling a little bit to get to the home show, and then you show up and you just fizzle out. You are just not exciting. You are not interesting. If you're going to do it, you need to do it right and come out guns a-blazing. And so this is a very basic presentation of guns a-blazing. So what are homeowners actually looking for when they come to these things? They want to know, they want to be reassured about their ideas. And I'm going to use myself and my wife as an example, right? Like if you've, again, been with us for any amount of time, I have an old house. It's like 100 years old. Over the years, it has had lots of shoddy things touched up and remodeled. And we've been here for 11 years and have changed some things and have plans to change more things. And we are not always sure where to start. So we talk to architect friends and we talk to contractor friends, and we, sort of like bat around like, okay, we don't want to waste people's time. We don't have a set budget right now to know what this is going to be. So like, where exactly do we fit into this picture? And this is where your process comes in, is that some contractors that we talk to say like, yeah, I would rather talk to somebody early. I can recommend an architect. I can recommend a designer. I can do all of this. And that way they're operating in my ecosystem. So, I mean, that contractor's ecosystem. But I mean, certainly homeowners in their head think like, oh, I understand that all trades are like highly inflated right now. So like, am I going to get ripped off? Am I going to get ripped off by a bad contractor and have to bathe in a bucket for 6 months? Is the design going to be something that like I don't fully understand and commit to? What financing options do I have and kind of qualify for financing, or like are the rates terrible that I shouldn't even think about it? It's just overall that, they are kind of like the construction manager trying to find a general contractor, and it's stressful, and they have a lot of uncertainty about whether or not they're going to end up with a good result. So if you can be the person that understands and alleviates and preempts those fears, you're going to be in a better place compared to everybody else. So your role should be to understand and to educate before you just start about, selling. So you're going to listen very carefully, which I would actually put that above explain. But listen, like, why are they here? What are they looking to do? Like, what's their home like? You're going to explain answers to things if they ask questions. Give practical advice. Like if they say like, yeah, I'm not really sure about this. Like we have skylights and they leak. We don't know if we want to get rid of them or change them. And a lot of times what I find is when homeowners bring specific problems like that, they're not aware of solutions that are now on the market that would actually fix their problem. So you, as the industry expert, may be able to say like, yeah, that used to be a very difficult thing to fix and now it's not. So if you'd like to talk to us, we could easily be out there in the next couple of weeks and fix it for you. Done deal, easy job. The other thing, so we went to a home show a few months ago, talked to a few remodelers, and they said, well, do you have measurements in your home? And I thought like, well, no, I don't. It didn't even occur to me that I should bring measurements to this event. And so like, if you're pre-educating your audience and pre-marketing to your audience, why not say, hey, we're going to be at the downtown home show this weekend. If you're thinking about a remodel, here are 3 things you need to do. Like, 1, print out your Pinterest board, or like bring us a scrapbook of like some things you like. Number 2, get measurements to your house. So like, if you're the contractor that you're the only one saying that, guess who they think is the expert, because they actually thought to frame the experience. Sets you apart as like an authority in the industry. And that's going to be like some of the practical advice. You don't want them to be confused. So again, we're going to like find out what their fears are and find out if they have an understanding of process and if it sort of jives with your process. And as I just said, like, naturally demonstrate the expertise by saying like, hey, look, before we can start, we're going to need to have your measurements. And that might even turn into a ballpark of like, hey, look, in our zip code, this cost per square foot is X. So given that your house is Y, then ballpark is going to be Z, homeowner mindset. And I talk about this also, if you keep up with our socials. A lot of times a remodel project starts in an Instagram feed where husband and wife are messaging each other. Hey, I love the tile in this bathroom. Hey, I love the backsplash in this kitchen. Just those little design details that like one day when their home is ready for a remodel, they are, sort of like have their powder ready to pop off. So excuse me, I'm gonna sip a little coffee real quick. So they've got inspiration. First, they need to know if they're in the ballpark. Like, is this going to be a $250,000 thing? Is it a $30,000 thing? Is it a $50,000 thing? Like, some relative idea of how much money they need to have in hand versus like what do they need to get from a bank, or like what could you offer them to make this process easy. And then they need to know that you're reliable, which is again your ability to show your Google reviews, show project case studies, show testimonials, and overall convey the idea that like you're the person for the job, and you're trustworthy, and that they can spend their money with you, and you're not going to basically pyramid scheme a bunch of other jobs along the way. We talked a little bit about education, educating them what's out there. The other day I had to replace water heater, and my buddy who owns a plumbing company came to help me do it. And he said, you should think about doing the split units for your air conditioning. And I didn't know that there's actually huge rebates for them in my area. So he educated me and basically sold an HVAC job just by telling me that I'd save a ton of money. And then based on electrical savings, like they'd pay for themselves in a couple of years. So again, like if you're not doing that, ask questions and look for opportunities to help people, because like in my mind, my friend is helping me, and everybody wins when that happens. And again, ultimately, know, like, trust, confidence. Like they need to know that you're the person for the job. Define success before the event. So are you there for only brand awareness? Are you only there for lead generation, or are you there for both? Which, like, ideally it's a little bit of both, because your brand is going to convey know, like, and trust, ideally. And then your lead generation is how sort of the rubber actually meets the road. But you have to have an understanding of like the timeline of how ready people are to buy if they become a lead. So brand awareness, that's those large visuals we looked at in those examples. Interactive experiences, maybe it's like a roulette wheel or like a Price is Right wheel, some kind of social engagement, like take a selfie in front of our thing. Like we have a Yeti mascot, put your face in the Yeti and take a picture. You get the point. I love this. So QR forms. Again, we were at this home show a few weeks ago, and not a single remodeler there had any means to like take our information. Like they were basically handing us stuff and saying like, well, here, call me if you want to talk. And so like I'm actually interested in working with some of them, like to hire them, and they have no idea who I am. They're not marketing to me, so maybe I'll go and shop somebody else. But if they had said, hey, scan this on your phone, just put in your info, we'll follow up with you just to like keep in touch. Two things can happen. One, it's all automated, so they get our info. They can start emailing us like, here's an idea of relative cost for jobs in this area. here's an inspiration guide for kitchens in this area, all of that. But because we went to their website, we can now retarget them, which, like, I'm sure you've seen on the internet, where you go to a website and then it seems like that website sort of follows you around the internet. That's retargeting. So what that does is, like, people are highly forgetful and they're very distracted. Now more than ever. So they might say, okay, yeah, I want to make sure I call that guy to talk about the job. And then they get distracted. There's lacrosse practice or whatever, concert or something. That retargeting is like, hey, don't forget about me. Hey, don't forget about me. Hey, don't forget about me. And then, like, if they're not doing anything, like, splice in the offer. Hey, this weekend we are offering, free estimates if you, contact us by 3 o'clock on Tuesday. Whatever the situation is, I think you get the point. The other thing is scheduling. So we went to that home show, and we're actually more interested in remodels, but the demonstrations out of some of these gutter companies we thought was so interesting that, and again, I was sort of like curious what their funnel was like. So signed up for a leaf consultation with Gutter Guard, and it was like Friday at 3 o'clock. So, and the guy wasn't that impressive, honestly. Like, he, didn't really come across as like a great company, but the product was cool. So we figured he was just like a college kid or something. And ended up buying Gutter Guard based on this. So, like, money that we didn't even think about spending, because they had a great demonstration of the product, because they were able to compare their product to all the other products. And at the end, like, they had a financing offer that were like, we finance this for so cheap that, it's kind of a no-brainer. And, like, we live in an area in the Northeast where we are pounded by leaves. And so in my mind, I'm thinking about spring cleanup during this home show. And I'm like, yeah, we had an icy winter, and multiple times I had to climb up and, like, dig ice out of the gutter. And, like, I'm worried about it leaking in my house, the whole deal. And for this guy to say, our gutters are ice proof, or, however he phrased it, I just said, honestly, that is worth it. Like, let's just go for it. So it was multiple right factors that lined up, and their offer was so good that it made up for multiple blunders that sort of happened along the way. And when I say blunders, the guy didn't show up at my house till 6 o'clock, and he said that the other guy had entered it into the form wrong. So at first I was going to blow him off, and then I said, nope, like, let's give this guy a chance. It's not his fault. Ended up being a great salesman, and again, we made a deal. So awareness, trying to be seen, trying to be build that trust early. And what that can be is, if you're active on social media ahead of time, which you should be, you can say, hey, we're going to be at this event coming up, and, like, come find us at this booth. Like, I've helped clients with trade shows before, where I'll take a map of the trade show and I'll circle it, and I'll say, they're going to be right here by the hot dog stand, or, by the staircase, or wherever it is. And then, like, while you're there, again, be on social media, talk about what's going on, hype it up so that people are like, oh yeah, I need to make sure I catch that guy. And if it's like a multiple day show, do it all throughout the day. So if they see it at night, they say, okay, great, I didn't catch him today, I'll catch him tomorrow, and then go in there and do it. You can also, and we'll talk about this in a second, but, like, you can run targeted ads that are, like, within a 5-mile radius of the home show, or, like, wherever you need it to be, that say, like, come see us at this home show. So anyway, you can check that out. And then in your sales goals, you're starting conversations, which we're going to talk about, like, how that happens. And, like, you don't have to, like, be the master of small talk to really, like, build sales rapport with people. You're trying to build trust fast, and that can be done through your visuals. It can be done through your poise and your presentation, like how your staff shows up. You're trying to qualify and solve. And also, when we say qualify, is like, that part of that is, like, how soon are they ready to buy? Like, a lot of these people may be shopping for 6 months to a year to 18 months down the road. And that's fine. But, like, you can know that now and stay in touch with them very easily for that period of time. So when they are ready to book, like, they're going to call you, because they say, like, that guy really went the distance and stayed with us. And again, like, appointments. So you've already taken a weekend to be at a home show and all the time before and after to like prep and set up and all that stuff. Like, is it really putting you out to then parlay conversations into on sites, or like, putting your own video training together about like what does a remodel look like in 2026, or any number of things, like, but you're trying to get people to commit that you can follow up with them so that you are like engaged in a sales process. um, and then if you can, like, if you're trying to recoup the cash you spent on your home show, like, does that mean you have a special offer that's like a small job? Like, if you're a remodeler, you usually don't do handyman jobs, but like, that you could come out of this and bang out like $20,000 worth of like little jobs and meet 20 new people that potentially would have remodels, then like maybe that's worth hiring an extra person, or like making a deal with a handyman to say like, hey, I'm gonna pitch these leads to you, and like you're gonna represent our company just for like this period of time. Again, it's a win-win joint venture for everybody. We talked about KPIs. So like, you're going to look at your total leads, everybody you collected, how many appointments came out of that. You can look at like everything you spent on the home show, and then how many became jobs, and then your revenue. And that's going to give you a sense of like, okay, we turned X into Y. And some things like cost per lead, like if you spent $2,000 on all the stuff around your booth, like the signage and whatnot, like you can decide, okay, I'm not going to factor that, or I will factor that, or like, but technically like that's kind of amortizing because you'll probably reuse it. So you would just have to make sure, like, if you're doing multiple home shows, you don't keep adding the full price of it into your spend. Choosing the right home shows. So you may have options in your area where there's sort of like general home and garden shows, and there may be a specific remodeling show. There may be something like a architectural digest show or something, like any scale of like styles and demographics and industries that you can decide, okay, like this is probably more my speed, like this is really where I belong. And you just have to keep some things in mind. So if it's a big show, bigger companies are probably going to be there, bigger, grander expectations for like more exciting stuff. And so you don't want to be like the little fish in a big pond. And then a smaller shows, like, they're great for like if you're at a small show, the people that are really interested in what you're doing, like they often like come in hot because they might not even be expecting you to be there. And the fact that you're there, then like you attract the attention. And you can, again, like highlight your ability to schedule appointments, highlight your financing offers, and try and turn it into jobs. So here's just kind of like a recap of those things. Some of the benefits. I'm not going to do everything here, but you can kind of check that out. Booth design that actually stops people. So we looked at that sort example previously, but clear headlines. So don't. And I always laugh at this when I drive by like little road signs, like yard signs, how much people squeeze onto it. And when I'm driving, even if I'm at a stoplight, like I have no idea what the people are, what they do. And again, like good imagery, emotional transformation. So again, like you're not just remodeling bathrooms, like you're giving people like private spa experiences at home. Like you're giving them a sanctuary outside of the chaos of their daily life. And everything should be like clean and poignant. And again, when we kind of sort of switch to this example, you'll sort of see the side by side of like too much versus just right. So here, like, look at this one, like how much is going on here. It's like, bah, 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 it's word vomit. Like there's just everything going on here. And here, like, I don't want to read a Word document telling me everything you do. And again, like, even though I understand this is kind of laughable that this is a little bit like that one, but like from a design standpoint, this is more exciting than this. But look, roofing, siding, windows, decks, that's easy. Free project consultation, that's an offer right there. And so like I can walk by this, people love free. So you're going to see free, hit that. And then here, like, nice big lit sign up top, branded in the front, electronic pads. And again, like, what do you do? Who are you? And like your sort of emotional qualifiers. So they should know what you do, who you help, why you're different in 3 seconds. It's just like a social media video where, like, if you are dragging on and talking, without doing anything that actually excites people, like, they're gone. Like, they're going to say, don't want to talk to you, not interested. So best visuals highlight dramatic improvement. So, like, can you show, which I was listening to a podcast today where they're talking to a guy that does like ductwork cleaning, and so he'll show like how gnarly like your laundry lint exhaust is, like before and after, and like, it might say like, oh, again, it's fire hazards, all that. That might not be your industry specifically, but like, show the before and after on like the 70s puke green kitchen versus, the beautiful modern kitchen, and how the lifestyle got better. Like, now there's outdoor dining space, now there's shade from a pergola, or, again, like, whatever it is, like, you're selling benefits of the job, not the features of the job. So, perfect example, old school builder quality stuff from the 90s. I grew up in a house very similar to this, and that is a way nicer kitchen than this one. So, perfect example. And you could have that side by side in a big graphic, and people say, oh, that's nice. Like, look at that. I like how the fridge is kind of in a corner there, like, the cabinet up top. It's like the room is so much taller and brighter and lighter. Like, that's great. So you may be a one person show. If you are, like, think about recruiting kids, family, friends, gig workers, like from college or something like that, like, to work your booth. Young, attractive people are never bad to have around you when you're trying to sell stuff, because people love the attention and love it when they talk to them. So again, like, at the home show I was at, there was a guy who, like, had the pop tent, had branding, had signs and everything, but he was the only guy there. And so if he's having a conversation with me, everybody else is getting ignored. And so, like, I didn't even talk to one of the guys, which I wanted to. He's a local remodeler that I was interested in talking to about my house. And he had like 4 people waiting around him. And I said, like, he's got no way for me to give him my info. He's got no way to retain who I am, nothing like that. And the other thing I'll, sort of like mention about that is, like, another remodeler I talked to, he had no way to retain information. He was just handing brochures, which, like, he doesn't have a website. So, like, I can't even like dig deeper than the brochure, which at this point I don't even know where it is. But I reached out to him and said, like, hey, we met at the home show. I wanted to connect with you, about some of the stuff we talked about. And he had like no idea who I was, right? Like, so he's like, oh, so immediately on the phone, it was a bad experience for me, because he talks to me like I'm a stranger, and like that conversation we had that I remembered, like, doesn't matter to him. And so, he basically kind of like waffled about it. And then a while later I said, like, hey, I want to reach out to you about checking out some stuff. And I was like, but I don't know when. I'm very busy this week. And like, he hasn't followed up. So now it's like on me to follow up with him, even though like I'm his lead. So all of these things are like me as a homeowner who is in the market for a future remodel. They're all red flags that, like, this guy is too busy to have the capacity to actually like conduct business properly. Events that work, you could do free project consultations, which doesn't have to mean free estimates. Like, when people hear project consultation, like, that could be hopping on a 20-minute video call. It could be, a text thread or something like that, or like, you structure it however you want. Upgrade incentives. I really love this. I saw it for the first time in the fall, and it doesn't actually cost you anything. Like, you can make a deal with a local appliance house to say, like, hey, I would like to make an offer for my remodeling clients to say, and the one that I saw was, book your remodeling job by the end of 2025, and we will automatically upgrade you to the Bosch appliances, like, over standard grade. And like, that's nothing out of the contractor's pocket. That's the contractor basically operating a joint venture for an appliance supplier that helps the supplier and the homeowner and the contractor. So win-win-win all around. Don't think that like an offer has to be like, oh, I'm discounting my stuff. Design audit. So if you have design skills, you may be able to do it yourself, or else if you have an interior designer you work with who's willing to do that, or honestly, like there are so many AI tools now that like if you have success with sort of like looking at somebody's design ideas and sort of like providing feedback from an AI audit standpoint, like again, it doesn't take anything from you. That's an option. And like financing reviews, like, hey, look, this is what a sample might look like. And like here's 3 scenarios of like this project. Like you put in X, bank puts in Y, or like you put in Z and they put in A. Like I'm sure you understand, kind of that idea. And then again, the material upgrades. So doesn't have to be out of your pocket. It could be your supply houses that are saying, hey, we're going to upgrade to hardwood, or, we're going to go with this trim or something like that. So be creative. It doesn't always have to be, sort of coming out of your bottom line. So this is just sort of recapping what we talked about. So like, what are some of the things look like? So like priority scheduling doesn't technically have to mean much of anything other than like, we're going to give you the best blocks of time. Like we're going to give you the, 4 to 6 versus everybody else has to talk during a workday or something, or like we're going to be available on Saturdays to talk to you only, or, you can do with it what you like. And then we sort of talked about the bonuses. We hinted at this previously a couple of minutes ago, but social media before and after, most people get stuck that they're only doing it during, but if you build up to it, again, if you could even collect, if you're not already collecting email addresses, you could collect email addresses saying like, hey, next month we're going to be at this home show. Give us your email. We'll make sure to tell you. And then 2 things happen. 1, you can email those people. And then 2, you can retarget them. So like, don't forget. And the retargeting ads could be, don't forget, this week we'll be at the home show. Today, don't forget, we'll be at the home show. And then even afterwards, like, did we miss you at the home show? Or like, great seeing you at the home show. Like you can have continuity for all of those things. And again, like assume that people are going to forget, and assume that you're, I hate to burst my bubble, your bubble, but like, you're not the most pressing thing in their life. So like you have to become the most persistent thing in their life. And that's basically how you're going to do it. And it's not all about you doing manual work. Like the great part about technology is there's automatic persistence and automatic follow through. So these are just sort of some examples about like the ads that can show up on Facebook and Instagram. And if you do like Google display ads, that again, like talking about the fact that you're at the home show and like what the offer is for the show. So let's see, retargeting, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but like you can also say like anybody who visited my website, anybody who engaged on social, my past people, my email people, previous customers, like these are all good people, good angles to like do your retargeting. These are just some more social examples about like what this could look like. Meet the team could say like, here's who we are. We're 2nd generation family business, or what have you. Countdowns are cool, especially if you have like an automated countdown that Instagram allows on stories. It sort of like builds that attention of, oh yeah, I need to do that. Geo-targeting, this is what we talked about, where you can say, hey, look, it's going to be at this convention center. I want to run this ad in a 5-mile radius. Or like, if you're going to do a short period, like if it's one where people might go to this show for 2 days, you might say, okay, we're going to run the ad for 2 days. Or like you could do it for 1 day, but say like 1 day only in a 1-mile radius. Anybody who's there, like come see us at booth 428. So that way they come to you. So we're going to go to during the show now. It's all about live interaction, engagement, high fidelity communication, collecting the leads, and just making sure that the booth looks top notch. So don't be these guys that are like, hey, come to the booth, talk about yourself, discount, and then, like just kind of brush people off at the end. Just chat, like ask questions like, hey, what brings you in today? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, what would you like to change about your space? Like, makes sense. This is like adding the value, the practical tips we talked about. Also, kind of like you could empathize with them. Say, oh yeah, we fix that problem a lot, so that's like, think about what that is like. Oh, okay, they fix it a lot. They probably are really good at it. They could probably do it for a good price. And like, I can trust that they can do it. It's like a way better answer than just kind of like rattling off like, hey, I'm not going to ask you about your problems at all. We're just going to talk about me. And then sort of say like, how, like, are you genuinely interested in solving the problem? Or like, do you have a timeline in mind for when you would want to do that? And be like, all right, great. Like, we can definitely help you with that. Like, can we catch up like in a week, or, whatever, Saturday, we'll come out and check it out. So you can see there's like, from a philosophical difference, this reads a lot differently than this. Like, you're curious, helpful, it's about them. This is pushy, salesy, all about you. Loose paper forms, I mean, I get it. Like, handouts are fine. Like, you can certainly have them. But like, that stuff gets lost. That stuff doesn't always give the full picture of who you are, what you are, and it doesn't allow you to retarget, as opposed to instant capture. And again, like, it's not hard to set it up so that somebody signs up for your email, like they get a welcome email while they're standing at your booth. Like, that's totally doable. And then you follow up. And like, this is something else I'll say is, I went to, not a home show, but like New York construction trade show. I went to a few trade shows in March, and I was honestly blown away how slow everybody was to follow up. Like, even like people that you would meet and get their cards and like chat and stuff like that, it's like multiple days later, week later, 2 weeks later. And then it was like, also you'd get their automated thing. So it was kind of like, great meeting. And it's like, yeah, we've already had that conversation because I reached out to you. So again, it's just, we'll talk about it in a second, but like, the person who gets there first counts for a lot. So follow-up can be triggered. You can segment by project type. So you could have them do this. Say like, I'm most interested in kitchen bath addition remodel, like whatever that is, or not sure. And then when you see it, you'll say like, oh yeah, this person was on this. The other tip I'm gonna give is like, when I talked about that guy who didn't remember me at all, like, it would have taken nothing for him to be like, hey man, it's like good chatting with you. Like, can we take a selfie really quick just so like I remember who you are, and like, take our picture. So he has our picture, and then like, give me your info. I'll call you this week. Done. Like, if that was the case, I'd probably be in progress on booking a job with the guy. And instead, I'm kind of like not wanting to keep up with him because he like was so standoffish. It's like, I thought you wanted to grow the business, and then yet you're not interested in growing the business. So anyway, let's see. And if you have a sales team, obviously, like, they should be getting the leads in real time so that they can follow up as fast as possible. After the home show, I just said speed to lead, talked about retargeting a lot. And again, like, that is such secret sauce because it doesn't let people off the hook. Like, it says, hey, you were interested in remodeling, and I'm going to keep checking in with you about that until you tell me that your house isn't there anymore. You sold it, or you hired somebody else, which hopefully isn't the case. So that's the follow up. So look at this sequence here, and I want you to think about, like, if you've gone to a home show, what do you do currently? And I want to show you this. So, an email within 24 hours, a phone call or text 1 or 2 days after, a value email saying, hey, you were interested in kitchen bath, or whatever. We have this guide that talks about trends in our area. Here it is. Follow-up video. Hey, look, here's us talking about a project thing. Here's a case study or review. Here's an invite to check in with us. And then like staying in touch. Like, this is what sets you apart from the Chuck with a truck, who is just like, yeah, I don't know, call me, I'll do whatever you want, and again, like, this is a professional company. This is what a market leader does. And I want you to say, if you don't feel like you're a market leader in your market, ask yourself who the market leader is, and then ask if this looks more like what they do. And the funny thing is this is repeatable. This isn't magic. It's not some esoteric knowledge that they had to make deal with the deities to make this. Anybody could do this if you have the resources and attention and focus and the commitment to actually make your business better. So post-show analysis, I've done this like when I've worked at companies in the past and we'd go to trade shows, is we would all kind of recap, and it was almost like the business card blackjack, where it was like, hey, I got this card, I got this card, I got this card. We would all shuffle like who was exciting, who was cool, like what did we like, what did we learn from the trade show, what did the staff do right, what should we have done differently, what offer converted best. And so that could be like, if you have two sort of hawkers, like one has one offer, one has another offer, or like maybe people get two offers. So like, hey, we have two offers, we could do the appliance or something else. And then sort of like where the revenue come from and the leads. So if you don't do any of this and you just say like, yeah, I go to the trade show every year, but I'm thinking about not going because it sucks, then it does suck, and you suck too. So sorry, I got to be honest about that. But if you're not playing the game to win, don't play, because you're going to lose, because somebody else is going to show up ready to win. Home shows are getting smarter. So AI assisted lead qualification, like you saw a lot of iPads in those examples. And so that can be like, hey, talk to our sales assistant and they can make a recommendation on your project. And like, they can talk to your AI bot and basically like, set up their own appointment and like have an idea of the budget. And, maybe they can upload pictures of the project and get a 3D rendering of what it might look like, or again, like the preview of like the before and the after, or like QR codes and other experiences. I was hanging out with a guy the other day and he had a bracelet, and we met another contractor, and he actually just like put the bracelet up to the phone and it Bluetooth took him to a page to swap their information. So again, like if that wasn't on his website, which I don't know if it was or not, but like if it was on his website, he could throw retargeting on that. And it could be, hey, awesome meeting you. Now you're going to see my ads until we're done. And again, like all of it should just go straight to the CRM with a tag, home show X 2026, whatever. So that way, like, that's where that person came from. And that way, if they book 6 months down the road, your CRM says that person met you back then, and like, all right, that was worth it. Now, listen, we've talked about a lot. We talked about, big 7 steps before, during, and after. It should come as no surprise that we're a digital marketing agency for contractors. Our standard program provides all this stuff for you. So again, not only does our program help you funding home shows, it helps you beyond everything that you're doing besides that. You can call or text us, you can email us, and we would love to help you build a better home show strategy. We also offer in-depth market analysis. So if you're like, I have no idea where I sit in my market, I have no idea if I'm ranked better for kitchens or bath or remodels or whatever the situation is, I have no idea who's running ads in my area. What would my budget have to be for ads? All of that stuff. Just book a time with us and we'll tell you all of it, and we'll sit down. And if you're serious and in a position about wanting to make an investment and getting more leads beyond just referrals, and actually getting to a point where you can say like, I want to spend more on ads because I like the leads that they get me, then like, that's what we can offer you. So see you at the top. We did this training because we see it as a huge opportunity. We see a lot of people waste money at home shows because they don't think about it in a holistic timeline. And we want to help you. And we hate seeing people waste money and work. We hate to see hardworking people work hard and not have their work acknowledged and maximized. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. If this was valuable, share it with a friend, hit us up. And if you're not already listening, I'm going to shameless plug the Topping Off podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. We interview remodelers and contractors, talk about what they're doing, what works for them and what doesn't, so that everybody in the industry does better. So Appreciate you all being here, and we will see you next time.